Hello, welcome to Trident Astrology. I'm Janine Kane. Today I'm going to be going over the August weekly forecast for the 1st through the 8th. Now there's several configurations that I'm going to be looking at in this forecast, and they include a T-square to Uranus and a Grand Fire Trine between Mercury, Chiron, Juno, and the South Node. Now these two configurations, the T-square and this Grand Fire Trine, are going to be strong and wane throughout the week, but are going to be a significant part to this new moon in Leo. In particular, Uranus is going to be in a very strong square to the luminaries, the sun and moon, in conjunction in Leo. So this new moon is going to be very Uranian infused. Also a part of this Leo new moon is a yod to Mercury, which is formed between the Pluto and Neptune sextile. So the themes associated with these configurations and the new moon include freedom and courage to express ourselves authentically, and individual and relational healing in communication. So let's get started. We begin the week, Sunday, August 1st, with a Grand Fire Trine between the Sun-Mercury conjunction in Leo, Chiron in Aries, and the South Node Juno conjunction in Sagittarius. Now this Grand Fire Trine is going to remain intact all through the week and is going to be a part of the new moon in Leo that occurs on August 8th, albeit with a little less exactness. Now Mercury is going to move away from the sun eventually, and the moon is going to move in eventual conjunction to the Leo sun, forming that new moon on the 8th. Now connected to this Grand Fire Trine is the Sun-Mercury conjunction in Leo opposing Saturn in Aquarius. This is forming a T-square to Uranus. And the Sun-Mercury conjunction opposing Saturn is going to remain intact throughout the week, but the Uranus squaring the Sun is going to go exact on Friday, August 6th, 2 days before the new moon. So this new moon is going to be very Uranian infused because Uranus is going to be in strong square to the luminaries. So the Sun-Mercury conjunction opposing Saturn in Aquarius is about the inner courage to individuate, to creatively self-express without the exaggerated need for approval from others. It's also about breaking through strict obedience to authority. So each one of us are encouraged to evaluate whether or not we are expressing ourselves authentically and courageously. So one energetic example of this oppositional dynamic can be about relinquishing the despotic control of media propaganda and governmental dominance over our perceptions, decision-making, and freedom to express. An example that stands out for me has been in the news lately concerning the debate over governmental regulations being put into place to mitigate suspected disinformation in media, in the social media. So Saturn represents boundaries and governmental organizations and regulations, and Aquarius can be equated to social media and internet technologies. There is a concern at this moment that these regulations may censor free speech and as such be impeding the First Amendment right to freedom of speech and freedom to express. And that's very much concerned here with the Sun, Mercury, and Leo. It's the freedom to express. Now the Saturn in Aquarius is bringing up issues around authority over expression, command over freedom, rule over individual sovereignty. And when we look at this T-square, in particular the Saturn-Uranus square, this has been going this has been going on since 2021, the beginning of 2021, and this has brought up the evolving regulations around information sharing on social media. The last time that Saturn and Uranus were in square was in 1999 and 2000, when the internet and the web went mainstream from its inception in 1950s. Presently, the medium of social media has become a primary means of politicalization. That's that Saturn in Aquarius. That's the Uranus-Saturn square here. So the challenge here with this T-square is to create reasonable regulations that protect our amendment rights, allowing the heterogeneity of information available on social media sites. So On a personal level, it's about each one of us differentiating our beliefs, creative impulses, and desire to express, that's the Leo energy, without worrying about the judgment or limitations put on us from others. So this takes a very Leo type of courage to be who you truly are in the world. This is being impeded here, but with the Saturn in Aquarius and the Uranus-Saturn square. So let's take a look at this Grand Fire Trine that is connected to the T-square energy. It's promoting individual healing. That's the Chiron in Aries. And it's moving us beyond our limited ideas and idealistic ideologues to consider new ways of thinking. With Juno conjunct the South Node in a Sagittarius, each one of us are encouraged to evaluate how we are engaging in our most intimate relationships. Juno is about intimate partnerships. So we are encouraged to evaluate the narratives that we're telling ourselves about our relationship to others. So we're encouraged to think about how am I communicating with others? The Sagittarius Gemini axis, the Sagittarius Gemini axis, is the axis of insight, the axis of perception, the axis of dialectic. So it's all about communication and perceptions. Am I able to communicate honestly and vulnerably? That's the Juno directive there in Sagittarius. Are the narratives that I'm telling myself and communicating in my relationships based in truth? That's Sagittarius. Sagittarius is about truth. So Juno is also about protecting the state. So because Juno is the Latin equivalent to Hera, which was the wife of Zeus. Zeus was the chief god of the Olympians. So Juno, alongside Jupiter, also known as Zeus, protected the state. So with Juno sextiling Saturn in Aquarius, what is brought up is the importance of a structured state for healthy social functioning, so long as the governance is based in truth. Juno in Sagittarius. And we want the governance based in truth, but also in integrity. Saturn in Aquarius is about integrity. The goal here is to negotiate the need for structure without stifling the intrinsic individual right to freedom and sovereignty. And Aquarius and Sagittarius both are about truth, truth-saying, and freedom. Saturn represents structures and rules. Juno in Sagittarius promotes protecting truth, notwithstanding governmental structures, notwithstanding the need for governmental structures. So let's move on to the new moon. So as we can see here, the new moon, much is intact here. The Grand Fire Trine is still intact. The T-square to Uranus is still intact. The only difference, the main difference, is that the Uranus squaring the luminaries now is much stronger. And Uranus is, the archetype of Uranus is really communicating to the luminaries. It's really communicating to our sense of self, the sun, and to the moon, our soul. So Uranus is symbolically representative of spirit working through matter to unite the two poles of consciousness. Basically, it's about the individuation process, which is about becoming authentically who you are in the world and having the courage to express yourself honestly and freely. And that is being impeded here with the Saturn opposition, Saturn in Aquarius opposition to the luminaries. Because the luminaries in Leo, all they want is to express themselves authentically. We want to express ourselves honestly, without limitation. So an example of this opposition here is the government swaying social media to thwart or abridge the freedom of speech or press. Now, some might protest that we are endangered by disinformation that is in social media, and that it needs to be extracted to protect the public. Now, disinformation may be an issue in social media. I am not contending that. But if by governmental authority, truth is defined to us by it, we lose freedom to think for ourselves, and we give sway to something outside of our own initiative to tell us what truth is. And that's what Uranus is trying to protect us from. The archetype of Uranus is about freedom and truth. So Uranus here, squaring the luminaries, is about protecting us, protecting the truth. It's about protecting our freedom to choose for ourselves our course of action based on all available information and knowledge to make choices for ourselves. And this is not happening here with the impediment of the Saturn, the shadow side of Saturn and Aquarius here. And this is not necessarily a political issue per se, but an issue of intrinsic individual sovereignty for each one of us that we're born into. So this new moon in Leo, the lioness of courage to express, the lion of courage to express, is about a new beginning that is encouraging each one of us to think about our individual place in the world and our ability to freely express, and to think about our unique level of courage and ability to express authentically. And so this isn't necessarily just about the social milieu, but this is how we express authentically, honestly, and vulnerably in our intimate relationships, in relationships to others, how we're expressing authentically to our innermost selves. Now, another part of this new moon is Mercury quincunx Neptune. Now, that went exact on Saturday the 7th. And we're also going to be looking at Mercury quincunx Pluto, which is going to be going exact next week. So what we're seeing here is that we have Neptune in Pisces and Pluto in Capricorn sextiling each other, both quincunxing the focal planet of Mercury. Now, Mercury in Leo here is the focal planet in this yod. And the focal planet in a yod is where the challenge lies for growth. The planets that are sextiling each other, in this case, Neptune and Pluto, they're telling us where we need to compromise in order to meet the challenge here in this yod. So Mercury in Leo desires the ability to creatively and authentically express and communicate. This is being oppressed with the new structures being put into place with the Capricorn here. The Capricorn is the new structures that are being in place. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is highly significant, especially with the U.S. Having its Pluto return in 2022. It's significant because Pluto is forcing a deep evaluation of the social structures and their integrity. Society has been going through so much transformation and challenge due to this pandemic. It's been causing economic insecurity, and it's been putting in new restrictions into place in our daily lives. This is incredibly incompatible with the energy here with Mercury and Leo to freely express our thoughts, to express and communicate authentically. That's the Leo directive there. So the new systems of regulation that are being put into place will eventually collapse if those systems prove not integral to the foundation of freedom for which America was formed in the first place. Mercury is in Leo currently, but Mercury rules Gemini. This is important because the North Node is in Gemini, and the North Node indicates the collective growth directive. North Node in Gemini symbolizes our ability to evaluate all sources of knowledge and information, to express varying points of view, and the ability to have healthy dialectic of thought and communication. This is not happening. This is being thwarted in our new system today. This is being thwarted in our social media. We also want to look at in this yod Mercury quincunx Neptune. And I believe this is indicating the challenge to remember the source from which we came. We are born of spirit into the physical world. The physical world is a temporary classroom for the soul. That's what Neptune Pisces represents. We need to remember our divine right for individual sovereignty, to remember that ultimately we are here to learn compassion and love. Also connected to this yod is Mercury trining Eris. And this is very significant because Eris is squaring Pluto in Capricorn. And this square of these two outermost planets, Eris and Pluto, has been going on since 2018 and goes on into 2022. The square between Eris and Aries and Pluto in Capricorn exemplifies the necessity for chaos and discord in order to break free of corruption. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is going to transform and to bring into light whether or not these social structures that are being put into place are integral. If there is corruption, Eris and Aries is going to create discord and chaos to bring back equilibrium. Now, with Mercury trining Eris, we are encouraged to initiate change via courage and steadfastness of heart. So this new moon is integral with these dynamics just discussed. All right, let's look into the future highlights for next week. Next week, we have several planets quincunxing each other. And so we got some challenging energy coming up next week. We have Mercury-Pluto quincunx, we have Mars-Saturn quincunx, we have Venus-Jupiter quincunx, we have Sun-Neptune quincunx. There's very challenging energy there. We have Venus-Neptune opposition going on. We have Moon conjunct Mars. That could be giving us more energy. That could be giving us some intense emotions there also. We also have Mercury-Jupiter opposition. We have Mercury entering into Virgo. Venus-Pluto trine. Also next week, we have the Moon-Sun waxing square in Scorpio and Leo. We also have Venus entering into Libra. So a lot of energy next week, and I look forward to covering that. So I really appreciate you joining me for another Trident Astrology Weekly Forecast, and I look forward to you joining me next week. So again, thanks for joining me. Blessings and love.